The Big Owl. In the heart of the whispering woods, where the trees stretched their arms toward the sky and the wind sang lullabies through the leaves, lived a big owl named Oswald. He was the biggest owl anyone had ever seen, twice the size of a fox and with wings so wide they brushed the tops of trees when he flew. His feathers were soft and speckled with shades of brown, gold, and white, and his eyes were as round and golden as the full moon. Oswald wasn't just big in size, he was big in heart too. All the forest animals respected him, not just because he was wise, but because he was kind. He never used his size to scare anyone. In fact, he used it to help. If a bird's nest fell from a tree, Oswald would gently place it back. If a young rabbit got lost, Oswald would fly high above and guide them home. But lately, the forest had changed. The air felt colder even in the sunlight. The squirrels chattered nervously, the deer moved cautiously, and even the wind carried a strange echo. Something was happening. Something no one could explain. "They say there's something in the far woods," whispered Hazel the chipmunk, her whiskers twitching. "A shadow that moves but leaves no tracks," muttered Benny the fox. "Some say it's a beast," added Millie the magpie. "Others say it's just the wind playing tricks." Oswald listened quietly. He had felt the strange presence too. Deep in the woods, where even the bravest animals seldom wandered, there was something stirring. One evening, just as the moon began to rise, a loud crack echoed through the trees. It was followed by a sharp howl, unlike any animal Oswald had ever heard. He spread his great wings and soared into the sky. "Stay in your homes," he called to the creatures below. "I'll find out what this is." As he flew above the forest, the trees blurred beneath him. He passed familiar paths, clearings, and streams until he reached the far woods. It was darker here, and the trees grew thick and tangled. Then he saw it. A huge, broken tree had fallen into the river, blocking the flow. The water rushed and swirled in frustration. Nearby, a strange figure stood frozen, a large creature, shaggy and gray, with glowing eyes. It didn't move. It didn't breathe. It was made of stone. Oswald landed silently nearby, his eyes narrowing. This wasn't an animal. It wasn't alive. But it hadn't been here before. Suddenly, the air shimmered, and a tiny figure appeared. It was a forest sprite, barely bigger than a pine cone, with wings like dragonfly glass and a worried face. "You shouldn't be here," the sprite said. "Neither should a statue that wasn't here yesterday," Oswald replied. The sprite fluttered closer. "That's not a statue. It's a curse." Oswald blinked. "A curse?" The sprite nodded. "Long ago, the creature was a guardian of these woods. He protected the far forest when it was still young. But he became angry when animals built paths and dens. He thought they were destroying the forest. So he turned against them?" Oswald asked. "Yes. The elder sprites cast a spell to freeze him in stone. But the magic is weakening. Soon he will awaken. If his anger still lives, he may try to chase all creatures away." Oswald's feathers ruffled. "Then I must speak to him before he wakes." "You're brave," the sprite whispered, "but be careful. If he sees you as an enemy, his rage may return." That night, Oswald didn't sleep. He perched above the stone guardian, watching. He thought about the forest, how the animals had learned to live in harmony with the trees, how they cared for their home, and how even the wildest winds belonged to the woods. By dawn, the sky turned soft with orange light. A crack formed on the statue's cheek. Then another. And another. With a loud rumble, the stone began to fall away. The creature stirred. Its eyes glowed again, this time not with stone, but with life. It turned its great head and looked at Oswald. "You are not of my time," the creature growled, his voice deep and grumbly like thunder. "Why do you watch me?" "I am Oswald, guardian of Whispering Woods," said the owl calmly. "You once protected these lands. I ask you to do so again, not with fear, but with friendship." The creature rose to its full height. He was massive, covered in thick gray fur, with twisted horns and mighty paws. "Friendship," he growled. "I watched the forest change. Trees chopped. Rivers muddied. Dens dug too deep. Why should I help those who destroy what I loved?" Oswald fluffed his wings. "Because it's not destruction anymore. It's balance. Look around. We don't take more than we need. We plant where we pick. We help when one of us is hurt. The forest lives, not in spite of us, but with us." The creature's eyes flickered. "Why should I believe you?" "You don't have to," said Oswald. "Come. See for yourself." So, the big owl and the forest guardian traveled together. They visited the stream where frogs sang and dragonflies danced. They watched the beavers build dams that helped control the floods. They saw the animals share berries and warn each other of danger. And slowly, the guardian's heart softened. "I never knew," he said finally. "I only saw the changes, not the care." Oswald smiled. "Then stay. Help us protect what we love." The guardian bowed his great head. "I will." From that day on, the forest had two guardians, the big owl and the stone beast, now alive with kindness. Together, they watched over the woods, teaching creatures young and old the ways of balance, care, and respect. And though the wind still whispered through the trees, it no longer carried fear. It carried stories. Of the big owl. Of the creature who learned to forgive. And of a forest that, because of them, would always live. The end.